Um, so we started our classical report event, correct? Events is something which gets triggered automatically or by a specific user action. It can be automatic. Automatic means some time has been reached. So SAP has designed some events which will trigger automatically and or based on a certain action. See this one, initialization. As soon as we will click on the execute button, so just before displaying the selection screen, this event will trigger. And what was the purpose of it? We used this event to pass the default value for our parameters and select options. Correct? This is the definition. Then the second one, add selection screen. So what does this means? It means we are on the selection screen. Correct? So if we are on the selection screen, what is the use of this event? So this event triggers when a user, so this add selection screen event, this event will trigger when the user performs some action on the selection screen, like pressing enter or any mouse click, etc. It can be any sort of action. So what do you think? What will be the purpose of this particular event? The purpose of this event is to validate the user input. The purpose of this event is to validate the user input. Let's see this. I will go back to program. I will create here events, and we show initialization. Next one is your add selection screen. So what is the purpose of this? To validate the user input. Yeah, validate the user input. And how do we validate something? Tell me this one. How do we validate anything here? So to explain this, uh, let's create something for us. Let's say I have a parameter here, P employee ID, type data element, employee ID. And here I'm having add selection screen and I'll put here a breakpoint. Let's do the activation of it. Now I will click on this execute button. I will pass one input and I will click on execute button. See, as soon as I clicked on execute button, what we see here, add selection screen event is triggering. This breakpoint is hitting. Same thing. Let's press enter here. I will press enter. Again, this breakpoint is hitting. I will press on this button. So nothing happened. So if you do any sort of thing here, let's say I press something and I entered. This breakpoint is hitting. So what is the definition of this event? When a user performs any action on the selection screen, this event will trigger, and the purpose of this event is to validate the user input. Is this clear or not? So we can write here validation logic. Now I will go back and any logic you can write on this event. You can write here, let's say, if what it is, if P employee ID is equal to 101, then we can give a message. Employee ID is correct. Correct. Type success. Otherwise, we can give a else here message. Employee ID is not correct. Type error. And if activate it. See this, activate it. So what will happen now? If we will pass 101 enter, see we are getting this correct message. Or if I'll pass anything other than 101, employee ID is not correct. 104, 100, 99. But for 101, it will show correct message. Yeah. That's the validation of the user input. Validation of the user input. Correct? Is it okay, everyone? Prasanna, is it clear?
Yes, Amrit.
Yeah. Interactive, guys. Otherwise, how will I understand whether you are getting it or not? Correct? So
Yes.
I will share this code with you also here. The next one is start of selection. So now we are on the selection screen, correct? We are on the selection screen, and here we are going to do something. So start of selection. This event triggers when the user clicks on the execute button on the selection screen. When the user clicks on the execute button on the selection screen. That is, if you check this one, if I put here start of selection and I put here a breakpoint, execute it. If I click on this execute button here, see this. Start of selection is hitting. Start of selection is hitting. Yeah, right. So what is the purpose of this particular event? The purpose of this event is to write the selection query logic. All the selection logic will always be a part of start of selection. All the selection logic will always be a part of start of selection only. And when it is going to trigger, when the user will click on execute button on the selection screen, when you are on the selection screen, when you will click on this execute button, then and only then this event is going to trigger. And what is the purpose of this event? That all the selection logic will be written only in this event. Only in this event. So we have our employee ID. I will create one structure here. Let's see this. Types begin of employee ID, type data element, employee name, type data element, department, type data element, manager, or manager was our next column. So manager, type data element. For column I am taking end of ty employee. Now I will create an internal table and work area here. So data keyword, LT employee, type table of ty employee and ls employee, like line of LT employee. Yeah, our structure declaration, internal table and work area, correct? Now we can simply go to startup selection and we can write the logic. So select query, employee ID, name, department, manager from table name, into table, internal table name, so LT employee, where condition or employee ID is equal to this user input parameter. So let's pass it here. See, all the selection logic must be a part of start of selection. Now you can simply loop and display the value to the user. So loop at LT employee into work area and loop. And we can have our write statement here. So ls employee, employee ID, employee name, ls employee, manager, salary, and do the activation of it.
I think we have taken different fields.
Oh, sorry. It was department and manager, correct?
Then
Yeah. So department, manager, I will activate it. And let's see this 101 and execution. We are getting the data. But if you will pass 102, employee ID is not correct. Validation is happening here. This validation will not allow to enter at any place. That's the beauty of these events. This will trigger only when the execute button will be clicked on the startups on the selection screen, and all the selection logic must be written inside the startup selection. Okay.
But can you just go to that internal table and structure, internal table and this declaration? Yeah. This is like line of, like this is
Oh,
the syntax.
sorry, I haven't explained it. Sorry. Let's use type till now. We'll
Okay.
come to that part later on. Yeah, we'll come to that part later on. Now is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. Start of selection. Then the next event. Let me share the code with you first. Mm, yeah, here. Then you have end of selection. What do you think? What will be the use case of end of selection? Start of selection is for writing the logic. Vaishnavi, what will be the use case of end of selection? Hmm?
Where it ends.
Where it ends, what it ends. So when our selection process ends, end of selection. So when our selection process ends, when the use case of a startup selection ends, SAP automatically calls the end of selection event. SAP automatically calls the end of selection event. This event helps to identify the end of the records, the end of the records. So here, if you are writing anything in end of selection, Let's say, suppose I'm writing write statement, data has been displayed. So when it will only trigger after performing this one. It will only trigger after performing this one. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you write it here or suppose you are removing it from here, you are writing just before this one. It doesn't matter. The time is fixed. First startup selection will be called. It will display the data. Then this will call end of selection and then it will be displayed. See this. 101 execute. See, first startup selection displaying the data, then this one. It doesn't matter whether you write it above or below. It will only trigger when its time is there. But better, it is always a good practice to follow the approach and write them in their appropriate order. Is it okay? Sony, are you getting?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is another sort of event here. Their definition and their use case must be clear in everyone's mind. Top of page. What do you think? What will be the use of a top of page? Is a event which triggers when the first write statement occurs in the program. When the first write statement occurs in the program. So top of page is an event which triggers when the first write statement occurs in a program. What is the purpose of this event? The purpose of this event is to give a heading at the beginning, give a heading at the beginning of a new page, of a new page. This is the purpose of this event, is to give a heading at the beginning of a new page. You can check this one. So if you are passing here, top of page, and here you are writing write statement, let's say display employee data. This write statement will be triggered very first, even before these things, and it will display the heading. See, let's say I'm passing 101, execute, display employee data. Used to give a heading. Used to give a heading. So you can just write like this way. Yeah. Now it will look more better. Everyone, are you getting this? Top of page event.
Yes, Amrit.
Vaishnavi, are you getting? Vaishnavi is there? Not there?
Yes, I'm there. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So then we have the last end of page. So it's just a opposite. If top of page is used to give a heading, end of page is used to give a footer. Page is used to give a footer for our page. That's just the definition of it. It will be same. I don't want to show it. Yeah. Then the next one, add selection screen output. And it is one of the difficult one to understand. Add selection screen output. What is the use case of it? Please understand the name. Add selection screen. We have already saw add selection screen. The purpose of this one is to validate the user input we are passing. Validate the user input that we are passing there. Then you have this add selection screen output. Yeah. So add selection screen output triggers before displaying the selection screen. First thing, selection screen. And the purpose of this event is to modify the selection screen. Modify the selection screen. Very important word here. We can modify our selection screen at the runtime because of this event. Because of this event. Yeah, we can modify it because of this event. So let me show you a magic today. Let me just show you a magic today. I will create a separate program for it. Add selection screen output. Add selection screen output screen output event type executable package and transport request. Suppose I have a requirement to display sales order data and material master data. Two different things. Material master data. So for that, we have supposed to select option LV Matner for material number, Matner. You have your select option for this. S Matner for LV Matner. And then you have for sales document number also. So LV Veblen for, sorry, type Veblen VA. Yeah, this one we have. So we can create our select option here. Select option S Veblen for LV Veblen. Suppose two select option we have and we want to display two different values. So I will give a meaningful name for this one via this. I will give a material here and here sales document number. So that user can also understand what is the requirement of this. Yeah, two select options we have created. Now I will create two radio button. See the things. Two radio button I will create. Parameters PR1 type C radio button group. We have already created radio buttons. I'm just creating another one. So PR2 type C radio button group R1. Two radio buttons I'm creating. Execute. We will give the name for them also. So let's go back. Go to text element, selection text. And here I will name this one as display sales order. Sorry, the first one will be for material. So display material master. Second one will be display sales order. Okay. Just the way of writing. Come back and see. Yeah, two radio buttons are there, correct? So now based on these two radio buttons, we want to display the data. So what do we need? We will need the structure for it. Let's create a structure for material. So begin of TY material, and I will have some columns from Mara table. So Matner type data element, MTART type data element. Two columns I'm taking here. So end of TY material. Similarly, I will declare a structure for my sales order from VBAK table also. So begin of TY underscore VBAK. And I will have here some columns, let's say Veblen VA and date, type date. End of TY underscore VBAK. Yeah. I will declare the internal table and work area for both of them. So LT material, type table of TY material, and LS material, type TY underscore material. Then we will have the VBAK, so LT VBAK, type table of TY VBAK and LS VBAK, type TY underscore VBAK. Correct? That's the normal way which we do. The same thing I am doing. Now what my user wants that if I am selecting this display material master data, then it should display material master. And if I am selecting this display sales order, then it should display the sales order. So what we can do, now we know we have one event name is startup selection, where we can write the logic. So same thing I will do. I will go to startup selection event, and I can give a condition if PR1 is equal to true. If PR1 is equal to true here, that means we want to display the material master data. Else, if PR2 equal to true, we want to display the sales order data. Display material master and display sales order. Sales order. That's the thing, correct? We can write here our logic and we can display them, right? So first one is our material. Let's write the logic. Select Matner MTART from Mara table. Store it into table LT Mara, LT material, where Matner in our select option. So S Matner. And I will display the data also. So I will display the data also here. Yeah. Write the loop. LT material into LS material and loop and display it. Write LS material, Matner and LS material, MTART. Two columns we have given here. Similarly, we will check for the next one, Veblen, select sales document number also. So another query here, select VBELN and date from VBAK into table LTVBAK, where VBELN in SVBELN. Correct? Now I can simply display it. So loop at LTVBAK into LSVBAK and display it. And loop, write statement, Veblen and date. There is one issue. Loop at LT material into LS material. Okay. Yeah, we have given a wrong name. Tell me, any doubt in this thing? What I have written here, is there any doubt in this?
No.
It's a normal thing, correct? So I will pass here my material numbers and I will select the display material master and it is displaying the material data. If I will pass the select option for sales document number, there things will be different and it will only display me the sales document data, correct? If I'm passing here, let's say 1 to 100, I will select display sales order. It will display me sales order data. That's a normal thing. We have given a if condition here, and based on that, we are writing the logic. But now, what my user wants, if I am selecting this display material master data, then this one should become invisible. This sales should become invisible. If I am selecting this display sales order data, then this material number should become invisible. Yeah, that's what modification is all about. The purpose of this event add selection screen output is to modify the selection screen. Modify the selection screen. Yeah, modify the selection screen. So to implement this, SAP has given one standard structure. And if you check this structure, screen. Screen is the structure. When you are executing everything, everything is on there on the screen itself. And this screen, you can see this. Yeah, you can check this one. You see here, input, if you want to disable, output, if you want to enable, anything you can do this with. You can just implement this screen structure. So if you go back to your system here, if you want to do some modification, you will have to give a modification ID. So here you will have to pass a modification ID. And this modification ID must be of 3 character. So for my material number, I will make it MAT. And for our sales document number, we will make it, let's say Weblin or SAL for sales. Yeah. Let's implement the event, add selection screen, output, output. Yeah. So if PR1 is equal to true, then we will do something. Otherwise, else if PR2 equal to true, then we will do some things. Yeah. So what we will do here, there is your screen. We will loop on this screen. So loop at screen. This is how modification is done here. We will loop at this screen and what we will check, if the screen group, you check this, there is a parameter called group 1 here. And by default, you can see its length is fixed 3 character. So if the screen group 1 is equal to this modification ID sales, I will remove it from here. So if it is sale, Yeah. What I will do? Screen active equal to 0. I will disable it, removing it from the screen. I am removing it from the screen. So if we have selected the PR1, I want to display the material master data. So material master data. So I will remove this sales and I will do the modification. So modify screen and if modify screen. Screen active equal to 0. Let's see it. See, can you see this? Second one is removed if I have selected display material master. Yeah. Same thing you can implement for the second case also. Second case also. That is, if you are selecting material MAT, then it should be removed active equal to 0. So second case will also be implemented here. If I am selecting this one and pressing enter, see this time material select option has been removed. If I am selecting this one and pressing enter, it will display material only. See, enter, enter. That's the magic. If you don't want to remove it, you want to disable it, you can try a screen input equal to 0. You can try screen input equal to 0. Here you can try screen input equal to 0. So instead of removing, it will disable now. Instead of removing, it will disable now. See this, non-changeable. So these are some of the modification at the runtime based on the user requirement, which you can try. There's some advanced concept. It can only be learned via practice. So changing the based on the requirement.